So today we'll take a look at two new modules from SickoZell that are a new interpretation of the Turing machine, generating CV, looping sequences, and so much more. And let's start with random loops. Here I have one already clocked, and I have also the FM operator as my voice. So I can use the trigger output to trigger this voice. In the right-click menu, I can choose exactly what will come out from the trigger output, trigger gates, or the clock width. I'm going with the clock width. Right, so already we have a sequence, and we have also an output, a CV output. In this case, I will use it for pitch. So I will send this first through a quantizer, and then here we have the scale. This is not major, minor, and so on. This is the range of the CV output. Right, so I can attenuate it. Right, so we get a sequence generated by the random loops, and just like with the Turing Machine module, also here we can lock the sequence and loop it. So let's say I will lock a 7-step sequence. We have here a length control, right, and then I just take this control knob to the right, so now we have a locked 7-step sequence. Right now it's looping, but I can also leave it a bit open so it will continue adding variation. I can also lock it in the other direction and get double the length, so in this case 14 steps. Now, even when it's locked, we can still add variation by deleting, adding, and randomizing things. Right, you can see here the lights that we get. According to the lights, in this case, they are actually bits that are either active or inactive. Right, so according to the bits, we get different results. So again, I will lock this to the right, so we have again a 7-step sequence. And now I can delete bits, and you will see we will get less lights, and the sequence will change. I can also add bits. And I can also randomize them. And again, this will also change the resulting sequence. And of course, we have also CV inputs for this. So I have here a trigger sequencer, also from SickoZell, with 16 steps. I will use this to delete bits, and I have here another sequence with 10 steps that I will use to add bits. Right, so we have more variation. We also have here the clear input. This will remove all the bits. You will see all the lights will turn off. And for this I will use a clock division of 8. Right, and then we start over. And we have a bit more space, a nice slow movement to the sequence. Now, the highlight of this module, in my opinion, is the ability to save states and sequences and then switch between them. Right, so here I have another setup. I have here key call with chorus and distortion. Right, again I have here the random loops triggering it and modulating its timbre. Right, so now let's say I will lock a sequence. Let's say I stay with 16 steps. And now I can save it. If I double click the store here in the right click menu, you can see down we have tips. It says store programs with double click. So you have to double click this. And now it's saved into program 1. Right, I can go to program 0, sorry, I can go to program 1 and then change things, for example, the scale. Maybe have it locked with 7 steps. Right, again, save it. Go to another program, let's have this with 14 steps, save it, and then another program. By the way, in the right click menu you can also copy paste sequences if you want. Right, so now I can change this, for example, to be again a bit locked to the right with more scale, so more modulation. And again, save this. Right, and now I can switch between them. I can go to the program I want and then click set and it will load. Or if I activate auto here, I can just switch between them by turning the knob. Right, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4 variations saved. And of course, we can also sequence this, control this externally, either with CV, with a dedicated CV sequencer, or with triggers. So in the right-click menu again, we have program input type. For now it's set to CV. If I set this to trigger, with each trigger it will advance to the next saved program and then we'll start looping. So again, I will use a divided by 8 clock. Right, so now we have more variation. We could quickly create a chain of sequences. Here I have another example. I have here the FM2 from SurgeXT with a delay, and again I have programs saved. In this case I am using CV, I'm using random voltage to switch between program 0, 1 and 2. You can see this here. And I have here also a glitchy hi-hat, again with random loops, again with saved programs. The hi-hat is coming from plats, going through a modulated delay, a modulated reverb. The second module I want to show you is also inspired by the Turing machine, but in this case we have 8 of them, each with dedicated controls. So here I have plats as a base, so I can use row 1 here to trigger it. Right, again I can lock the sequence. Right, we have also locking control here. Right, so now we have a repetitive, a looping sequence of 16 steps in this case. I can use the second row to modulate the harmonics. The clock and reset, by the way, are normal down, so you don't have to use multiple clocks if it's the same clock. Right, so now I can modulate the harmonics, let's say in this case with 7 steps, again locked. We have also range controls, so scale and offset. Right, so I can do something like this. I can modulate the morph, let's say with 5 steps, and in this case it will not be all the way locked. Right, so there will be always some modulation. And I can modulate the timbre, let's say with 12, and again not all the way locked. Right, I have this also going through a delay, a Prince of Perception, so I can use another row to modulate the mix, and I can lock it all the way to the left, which will be double the length, so in this case 32 steps. Right, so we can easily create sequences and add modulation. We can also use polyphony and merge multiple sequences. Right, here I have the wavetable VCO from SurgeXT. I will solo this for a second. Right, you can see now I'm using the lowest output where it says P for polyphony. So I can choose how many of the rows I would like to merge. In this case, I will merge 4 rows. So we will have 4 channels of polyphony. This we can do in the right-click menu. Right, polyphony on the 8th output. I will change this to 4. And now we have these 4 sequences, right? 3 of them are locked, 1 of them is not locked. You can see I changed the scale and range and length, right? So we have 4 different sequences now on 4 channels of polyphony. Right, you can see this here also on the VCA. I have here some drums with another new sequencer from SickoZell, the Trig Sequencer 8. I have a kick, snare and hi-hat. Right, also the Trigger Sequencer 8 has programs. And I have here also some noise with another RandLoops, triggering, sequencing, modulating tremor FM. There's even a bonus in the trigger sequencers in this collection. They now have Turing mode in the right-click menu. You can change them to Turing mode again on all the trigger sequencers, and this will turn them into a CV generator. So here I have the FM2 VCO. Right, again I have here the trigger sequencer. I will set this to Turing mode, and now I can add bits by activating gates. So if I activate 2, for example, the reset control now becomes an attenuator, just like the scaling we've seen before. Right, I can change the length, let's say 10 steps. Right, and again change the result by changing the active gates or active bits. Right, I can also use a divided by 2 clock to add some variation or space by turning the sequencer on and off via the run. And now instead of having it always start from the beginning in the right-click menu, I can turn off the reset on run. And then it will just continue from where it stopped, thus adding a bit more space to this. And again, this will work with the other 2 trigger sequencers. Right, here I have the Trigger Sequencer Plus. Again, also here we have programs, so you can save sequences and switch between them. This is sequencing the VCO unit, and again it's set to Turing mode. Right, so you can also create interesting pitch sequences or modulation sequences. I have here also the 8-channel version, the one we've seen just now. Right, the Trigger Sequencer 8, and I'm using this polyphonically, merging 4 sequences for pitch, 4 sequences for modulation. Right, again set to Turing mode. Also here we have programs, so we can switch between sequences. Right, so it can be an interesting way to generate sequences, pitch or modulation, even though this is a trigger sequencer. I have here also a bass voice with a kick roll from Befako, but before I mute this, thank you again so much for watching. I hope you will go and explore these modules. Cheers!